Storybeans presents A Stitch in Time. Have you ever put something off, thinking you'd do it later, only to find it caused even bigger problems down the line? Well, one of the characters in this story learned just how true this really was. In the heart of the African jungle, where the treetops whispered in the wind and sun sent dappled light through the canopy to the forest floor beneath, lived two very different friends, a gorilla and an African tree squirrel. The gorilla's name was Gimba. He was big, gentle and friendly. He had thick black fur, kind brown eyes, and a belly that jiggled when he laughed. But Gimba had one problem. He was terribly lazy. He liked to lounge in the shade, scratch his belly, and eat ripe bananas while humming jungle tunes. "Ah," he'd sigh, "why do today what you can do tomorrow?" On the other hand, the African tree squirrel, who was called Sibo, was small, quick, and always on the move. She had shiny grey fur, bright, alert eyes, and used a tiny notebook to jot down her daily tasks. "A job done early is a job done well," she often chirped, dashing from one tree to another. The two were the best of friends, even if they didn't always agree. Early one morning, as the sun's glow reached across the African jungle, Sibo zipped down a tree and onto Gimba's leafy hammock. "Gimba," she squeaked, holding a bundle of vines and twigs, "let's fix your hammock. One of the vines is fraying, and if it breaks, you'll fall flat on your bottom." Gimba yawned and peeked one eye open. "It's just one little vine, Sibo. I'll fix it later." "But later might be too late," warned Sibo, tapping her tiny foot. Gimba rolled over with a groan. "Ugh, I'm too comfy now. Besides, it hasn't snapped yet." Sibo gave a huff, but didn't push it any further. "Don't say I didn't warn you," she muttered, before scampering off to help Mrs. Meerkat mend her burrow entrance. Later that afternoon, a great jungle breeze whooshed through the trees. Gimba swung lazily in his hammock, chewing on a mango, when suddenly, snap! "Whoa!" he cried, tumbling through the air. Thump! Right onto his bottom. The vines had snapped, all of them, not just the one Sibo had warned him about. 9 of them. Gimba sat dazed on the ground, mango squashed in his hand. "Oh," he mumbled, "that could have been avoided." Just then, Sibo scurried over. "Are you okay?" she gasped. "I told you that one vine was important." "You were right," Gimbo admitted, rubbing his sore behind. "I should have fixed it when it was just one vine." "A stitch in time saves 9, Sibo said wisely, helping him up. "One small fix now can save a big mess later." Gimba nodded. "From now on, I'm going to change my ways." But changing habits isn't easy, even for a gorilla. A few days later, Gimba was picking fruit near the riverbank. It was another laid-back day, and Gimba was watching the water's ripples as they moved slowly across the surface of the river. Suddenly, Sibo came scampering over to him, looking concerned. "Gimba, your fruit basket is coming undone. The reeds are slipping out at the bottom. If you don't fix it now, your fruit will fall through." Gimba looked at the basket. Sure enough, one of the reeds had come loose, but it was only one. "Hey, it'll last a bit longer," he said with a shrug. "I'm really hungry right now." Sibo frowned. "Don't say I didn't." "Didn't warn me, yes. Gimba finished, already biting into a guava. The next morning, Gimba returned to the river to collect more fruit. But as he picked up his basket, plop, splat, splash! every single piece of fruit tumbled out through the now gaping hole at the bottom. Guavas floated away, bananas sank, and a particularly lovely mango was snatched up by a grinning crocodile. "No!" Gimba wailed. Sibo appeared, carrying one of the mangoes that had fallen out of the basket. "Again?" she asked with a sigh. Gimba placed the tattered basket down next to him and lowered his head. "Again," he admitted. Sibo thought for a moment, then her face lit up and she jumped for joy as an interesting idea emerged in her squirrely head. "Come with me," she urged. "You need to see something." Resting on his huge shoulders, Sibo led Gimba through the jungle until they reached a tall baobab tree. Here was where her little house sat, high up in the branches. She showed him her little workshop, tools neatly stored, nuts arranged in jars, and even a tiny clothesline where she hung her patchwork leaf cloaks. "Every day," Sibo explained, "I do little jobs to keep everything working. That way, nothing breaks all at once. I don't need to panic or fix a huge mess." Gimba looked around in awe. "It's so peaceful here." "That's because I don't let problems grow into disasters," she said, handing him a spare needle and vine thread. Gimba took it and smiled. "Can you teach me?" And so she did. The next time Gimba spotted a loose vine in his new hammock, he fixed it right away. When his new fruit basket began to squeak, he quickly tightened the reeds before they had chance to slip any further. When a crack appeared in the roof of his banana shed, which he recently had just built with Sibo's help, he patched it that very day. Weeks passed, and Gimba felt something he hadn't felt before: pride. One afternoon, dark clouds gathered over the jungle. The wind howled and rain poured down. The storm began, and it was a wild one, shaking trees and sending birds fluttering in panic. But Gimba's hammock held strong. His fruit remained safe, and his banana shed stood firm. Sibo zipped through the downpour and peeked in. "Are you all right, Gimba?" The gorilla grinned. "Never better. Everything's in good shape because I didn't wait." Sibo beamed. "You've learnt the secret." Gimba chuckled, offering her a dry banana. "A stitch in time saves 9, right?" "Right," she giggled, munching happily. Her work was done. From that day on, the jungle had 2 busy friends. One was small and quick, the other big and lumbering, but both knew that a little effort today saves a lot of trouble tomorrow. Thank you for watching Story Beans. See you next time.